Hi guys, I recently sat down to write the Lore of the Cards episode on Ronin. Not long after my fingers started to tap across the keys did I realise I'm really going to have to reread his novels to keep his episode up to the standard I usually produce and the detail that I try to maintain through all my episodes. Almost all Ronin's lore is in the novels, so this is going to take some time. Until then, I'm sure I'll make another mini Lore of the Cards. There was a really nice suggestion for an episode on Guzrilla in King Crush. And I've also come up with another little idea. There's a small rumour that the Hearthstone team may announce the next adventure at this year's Blizzcon. This would be really welcome, as looking at the schedule for the panels, it doesn't look like I'll be getting that Diablo expansion I want. So, I thought it might be fun to do a series of 5 possible adventures we may see in Hearthstone, starting with the one I think we're least likely to get, and finishing on a countdown that reveals what I think will be the most likely. So, without further ado, let's get started. Number 5. Icecrown Citadel. In the lore, this is the fortress of one of the Warcraft universe's most beloved villains, the Lich King. The king began life as a suit of armour, imprisoned in ice, the soul of the orc shaman Ner'zhul languishing within. His soul had been placed there by Kil'jaeden of the Burning Legion, to weaken Azeroth for the Legion to invade. Later, Ner'zhul would bind with his champion Arthas Menethil to become the Lich King we all know and love in World of Warcraft, Arthas emerging as the dominant personality. The Lich King's frozen throne started out as a tall pillar of ice. When Arthas bound to Ner'zhul, they entered a deep sleep. During this time, the Lich King's servants constructed Icecrown Citadel around his throne, a harsh, imposing bastion. In World of Warcraft, ICC was the final raid of the Wrath of the Lich King expansion, because Ruby Sanctuary never existed. The raid instance included 11 bosses, a little less than the 15 included in Naxxramas. 11 is a little short for a Hearthstone adventure, but there were also 3 dungeons within ICC as well. The Forge of Souls, Halls of Reflection, and the Pit of Sauron. These 3 dungeons could be used to make up the first wing of an ICC adventure. Like with the first wing of Naxx, I've picked 3 possible bosses, one from each dungeon. From the Forge, I've chosen Branjam, who joined Kel'Thuzad's Cult of the Damned near its conception and was also trained by Kel'thuzad himself. There are interesting parts to Branjam's WoW encounter, making him great for Hearthstone. He would corrupt a player's soul, tear it from them and use it to heal himself. He was also able to summon a vortex around him that would strike fear into his adversaries. So, translating this to Hearthstone, soul corruption could be his hero power, dealing direct face damage and healing himself. Perhaps in a heroic mode, the healing could be doubled. The vortex would work like a damaging frost nova, freezing those that oppose Branjam with fear. From the Pit of Sauron, I'd choose Scourge Lord Tyrannis, a Death Knight so powerful he was able to slay the giant Garfrost single-handedly. The giant would be resurrected to become the first boss of the pit. Tyrannis also had a Frostworm mount, called Rhymefang, who could also be implemented in the Hearthstone adventure, perhaps in a similar way to Nefarian and Onyxia in BRM. Tyrannis' hero power could interact with Rhymefang or be his ability Overlord's brand. In WoW, this marked a player, causing all the damage done by them to Tyrannis to instead be done to Tyrannis' target. So in Hearthstone, if your minion attacked, it'd damage you, or to make it more threatening, have that minion's damage done to your hero anyway. From the Halls of Reflection, I'd choose the Lich King. In this encounter in WoW, players had to run from the Lich King while ploughing through waves of undead summoned by him. If they were caught, they were as good as dead. A possible way of simulating this would be to have the enemy hero as a block of ice. The Lich King summoned several walls of ice as the heroes tried to run, and the Lich King as a minion that would grow in power over time. Maybe the deck could contain a lot of charge minions that the Lich King absorbs at the end of the turn, similar to a Void Terror. The boss's hero power could further increase the Lich King's strength, or make the wall invulnerable for a turn, making the players have to rely on insane burst or put a fair few healers in their decks. The second wing in Hearthstone could be the first wing of ICC, containing the bosses Marrowgar, Lady Deathwhisper, Gunship and Deathbringer Saurfang. I'd say the easiest one to cut here would be the Gunship if you needed to. Marrowgar is best known in WoW for his Bone Storm ability, so in Hearthstone this could be his hero power. It would operate similarly to Whirlwind, damaging minions, but perhaps to add a little flair it could become more powerful with each use up to a cap, perhaps forcing players into spell heavy decks. Lady Deathwhisper, the acting leader of the Cult of the Damned after Kel'Thuzad's defeat, was an ad heavy encounter in WoW. Her minions could represent the ads she summons, and her hero power could summon a vengeful shade. These invulnerable minions would hound players and attack them in WoW. For Deathwhisper in Hearthstone, they could be her unending supply of patient assassins. The Gunship could give you your own pre-made Gunship deck, taking influences from Tavern Brawl, with your class chosen altering some of the cards. In ICC, it was a battle between a Horde and an Alliance Gunship. You'd fire cannons at the rival faction ship and fight members of their crew. I'm sure you could create a similar experience in Hearthstone. Deathbringer Saurfang is the son of the Horde hero Varrock Saurfang. He fell after attacking the Lich King head on. His soul was claimed and he is now the Lich King's most powerful Death Knight. In WoW, he was a Blood Death Knight, using a hero's own life force against them, causing blood novas to erupt from them and boiling the blood within their veins. He would also summon blood beasts. I perhaps look to centre the encounter around these, Saurfang's abilities playing off them and his hero power reinforcing his lines. The third wing of Icecrown in Hearthstone would be the Plagueworks. These contained Festergut, Rotface and Professor Putricide. Festergut attacked using putrid gas, and inhaling his vile concoctions would make him even stronger. During his Hearthstone encounter, he could cover the board in various gases, perhaps weakening enemy minions, buffing his own and causing damage. He could then inhale these to make himself become stronger. This deviates a little from the WoW encounter, but could be fun. Rotface used ooze-based attacks and could spawn small and large oozes. His encounter in Hearthstone could revolve around this, his oozes binding together to create even more terrifying minions. Rotface could have a slime spray hero power to damage enemy minions and heal his own for one. Putricide would attack using gases and ooze, and would transform during his encounter in WoW. I'd imagine he would be a phased fight, allowing the good Professor to transform. The fight also needed one tank to climb into a flesh beast to consume the ooze puddles left behind by Putricide. This could be implemented in Hearthstone, the player being given a flesh beast that is the only minion capable of destroying some of Putricide's board. The fourth wing would be the Crimson Hall in Icecrown. This only contains 2 bosses in the WoW raid, so I'd move one from another wing to here to make up the numbers. So, the Hearthstone wing would consist of Valatharia the Dreamwalker, the Blood Prince Council, and the Blood Queen Lana'thel. In Warcraft, Valatharia was a green dragon captured by the Lich King. To succeed in the encounter, players needed to heal her back to full health while being attacked by minions of the Lich King. I'd like to see her Hearthstone encounter repeat this mechanic. Perhaps Valatharia starting with 1 health and 30 armour, with her hero power healing her and her minions damaging her. You would lose if your hero or Valatharia died. The Blood Prince Council consists of 3 undead blood elves. Prince Valanar, who used shock-based spells, Prince Taldaram, who had fire spells, and Prince Kel'thuzad, a master of shadow magic. This would operate similarly to the Omnitron defense system and the 4 Horsemen, having individual minions represent each prince. The final boss of this wing, mainly because I think she'd make a cooler legendary than Valatharia, would be Blood Queen Lana'thel. This boss, with an awesome character design, had vampiric powers and was adept at turning the raid against one another, spreading damage, having attackers heal her, and transforming adversaries into vampires. She also had a short air phase that could be worked into her Hearthstone encounter. By turning players into vampires, Lana'thel increased their strength, but if they did not bite another player, turning them into a vampire too, they would become mind controlled by Lana'thel. Perhaps this could work similarly in Hearthstone. Lana'thel's hero power could double an enemy minion's attack power. After attacking, they would become hers, their attack returning to normal. You could balance this by giving Lana'thel a large life total. Finally, we'd come to the Frozen Throne, which would contain Sindragosa and the Lich King. Like Sapphiron in Naxx, Sindragosa would entrap heroes in icy tombs, others needing to take cover to avoid damage. Sindragosa had the added twist of players having to destroy the tombs fast enough for those within not to die, but slow enough to avoid Sindragosa's attacks. Sindragosa's hero power could revolve around this, freezing an enemy minion and causing them to take damage over time, but this also protects the enemy hero from her most powerful spells. If she hits a low health minion with her hero power, you're in trouble. The Lich King had a lot go into his fight, and I encourage you guys to come up with concepts for him as well, and tell me about them in the comment section. I could then maybe share some of the best ideas in another video. I'd choose to focus on the Lich King's domination of the dead. His hero power Shadow Trap dealing 5 damage to a minion, and spreading to adjacent minions taking 1 less damage as it went. All that died would return on the Lich King side as a ghoul of some description. So, why do I think Icecrown is one of the least likely to happen soon? It's mainly because it's so similar to Naxxramas in theme. Players would be rewarded with undead themed cards, and we got plenty of those relatively recently with Naxxramas. The final wing is also very similar to Naxx, containing a Frostworm and the raid's final boss. So, while ICC fits the formula perfectly, it'd be a bit too soon to have another undead themed adventure. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, subscribe, tell your friends and share it around. Let me know what you thought of this new content. Would you like to see more relatively detailed concepts like this one on the run up to Blizzcon, or would you prefer I just did a more succinct top 5 possible adventures? Your feedback in the comments would be really appreciated. Till next time guys, happy Hearthstoning.